and I'm fed up with it.
But, my Lords, it's a pleasure to follow the noble Lord Kerr and to both agree with him about that form of tennis, but also seriously about both the timing of the government's announcement about its plans for the Nationality and Borders Act, but also the fact that this is a U-turn that needs to be applauded. If the government points itself in its right direction, then people shouldn't jump up and down and point a finger and go U-turn, U-turn, U-turn. It's better than not U-turning. We've had many powerful speeches in this debate, but I think the House will join me in particularly commending all of the members of the government benches who've shown both courage and compassion in getting up and opposing the government's plans for victims of modern slavery. I agree both with the noble Lord Cormack that the whole bill should go and the noble lady Baroness Hanway that all of these clauses should go. But I actually signed a number of the amendments in the name of the noble Lord Coker, a package that I think helped us to interrogate what the government is now doing and what the impact it will have. And in that light, I'm just going to ask the noble Lord the Minister 3 questions, specific questions that in some way draw on what's been said before, but also go in a little slightly different directions. My first question is, if the provisions under the Illegal Migration Act, as the government plans to essentially end the protection for the victims of modern slavery, if we imagine a police officer now crouching down beside, say, a frightened young man who's been forced to work in an illegal marijuana farm, locked behind locked doors where the whole thing could have caught fire and killed him at any moment, a young woman forced by threats to stay in a nail bar, a young man who's been trapped for months in horrendous conditions at a hand car wash, or indeed a young woman who's been forced into sexual exploitation. If a police officer crouches down beside them now and says, "It's all right, you're safe now," what does the Minister think a police officer would be able to say in the circumstances if this bill goes through as it currently is? What could that police officer say to the victim of modern slavery? And I'd ask your Lordship's House to think about how the police officer might feel about being in that situation. Now, my second question is that, of course, that police officer, one of the things they would probably do, perhaps not immediately, but sometime in the near future after that, would start to say, "Can you tell me what's happening here? Please tell me what's happening. Please, a bit down the track, would you think about testifying about the person who put you into this situation?" And if we think about even just the intelligence gathering, let alone the prosecution point, what this passing of the law as currently allowed, what it would do. And finally, my third question is, has the government really considered, we think about those kind of illegal operations that I've referred to, illegal enterprises that are a stain on our communities, that compete with, that thrust out honest, decent businesses, that are a rotten core in the community that has all sorts of nasty effects? What would allowing those operations to continue, which what the government plans would do, what will that do to our communities?